What an absolutely disgusting, embarrassing beatdown of the highest order. Okay, so since it was so bad, 30-4. Wow. I'm not even going to waste time going through the Pirates series. That was just a colossal meltdown. Honestly, right now everything's broken for the Mets. All right? Pitching's a disaster. Hitting's a mess. Not loving what I'm seeing for the manager. But I got to start with Stearns here. I got to start with the general manager. Now, the New York Mets' entire mission since Stevie Cohen bought the team has been to elevate this entire franchise, right? And when we say elevate, let's just get it out of the way and tell you what that's code for. Basically, be like the Yankees, okay? The Mets want to be like the Yankees. Mets are spending matter of fact, they're spending more than the Yankees. And the vision, which I largely agree with and certainly respect and believe is, to an extent, certainly more sustainable than recent success has been for the Mets. I think that their vision is sound. But there's a couple of things that cannot be twisted here, all right? And when you strive to be elevated, when you strive to swim in the waters, not just of the Yankees, but of the Dodgers, blah, 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 and go out and make the power move with Soto, and make the stadium, Citi Field, make that an event and a place to be. When you have a payroll of $325 million and you look like this, then you get no breaks. Like, this is no longer, wow, the Mets, the Art Howe Mets, the cute little Mets, the 69 Mets, the 73 Mets. Nonsense. This is the Mets that I have heard every Met fan puff their chest out and say, wow. And I don't engage in it. I think it's so stupid. The big brother stuff. Yeah, how's it feel now? Yeah? Does it feel good? You like it? I didn't think that you would. And you shouldn't. So when you have a payroll to 325, the first person I look at, it's not Juan, it's not Pete, it's not Lindor, it's not Mendoza, it's not Cohen, because he said, yeah, let's go. Cohen's great. It's what's right below Cohen that we got to have a conversation about right now. And that would be the boy wonder, David Stearns. So, guys, David Stearns last year was lauded for his ability to go scrap and nickel and dime and pick apart, the bargain bin. And he turned it into something pretty good. And it was a fun season. And there was this belief that, well, this is what David Stearns does. He gets C- pitchers, bring him to this lab, which, by the way, does the lab even exist anymore? Is there still a lab? Somebody let me know. This lab does whatever it did, and now the Mets are a couple of wins away from getting to the World Series. That was last year. Well, this year what's happened is that the New York Mets played 16 of their first 29 games against some of the most wretched teams in baseball. 6 with Miami. How the Marlins doing? Actually, I think they're a little hot recently, but 37-45. Then they had a couple of games with the A's. They stink. A couple of games with the Twins. Stink. A couple of games with the Nats. Stink. So I tell you all this because I believe that the early season success from the Mets was largely a mirage. They were never nearly as good as some of you thought that they were. Those teams that I just mentioned, they are a combined 44 games under 500. 44. And the Mets, to their credit, the Mets carved out a lot of wins against those teams. They're doormats. You should obliterate those teams. And the Mets were 20-9 against those teams. 29 start. So the Mets were rolling early. Mets were beating up nobody. Everybody thought, and I understand this part of the equation. You add Soto to it, 89 wins a year ago, almost in the World Series. Here comes Soto. Here comes this. Year 2 of the pitching lab, 29 start, whatever it was, and off and running. And that's sustainability and that success and all the things that the Met fan wants and deserves. Right now, feels very flimsy. It feels very weak. I'll tell you something else I don't see from these Mets. I don't see an ounce of leadership. Not an ounce. But it all comes back to how the team was built. That's David Stearns. You know, it's funny, a couple times, I didn't really get it. I also know how he is, and I love him, and we all love him. I remember, like, earlier in the season, I heard Joe, a couple of Saturdays, Joe B., and he's railing on him. Oh, Stearns, I don't have a real good Joe impersonation. I'll leave that to Gio. I think Sal's got a pretty decent one as well. By the way, Sal's off today. So I hear Joe, boy wonder, this guy stinks, I want that. I'm like, all right, here's Joe just being negative. I really just thought it was unfair to Stearns, and I'm not saying that I'm in complete alignment with what Joe's been espousing for a while about David Stearns. But when you look like this is not a bad weekend. This is not a bad week. This is not a bad 10 days. Hell, this is not a bad 2 weeks. This is a wretched, unacceptable, disgusting, gross run, and I'll call it baseball, even though it's not. Because when you can't run the bases, and you can't pitch, and you can't hit, and you can't field, that's not baseball. I don't know what it is, but I'll just call it baseball to keep the train moving. Now, the good news is, I think, and I'm not even convinced of this, I think that it's going to get better. I think. I don't know that. I don't truly believe that, because I've been telling you for the last month, I don't like the lineup. This team doesn't hit, which goes back to Stearns. This is what $325 million got you? Now, there are varying degrees of criticism and reaction. And maybe for some today, I'm too over the top. That's fine. Maybe for some of you today, not enough. That's fine. All right? But what I have said for a while is you got 5, sometimes 6 automatic outs every single night. Every night. And you've got a pitching staff that if they played the Long Island Ducks in a 7-game series starting tonight, since they're off, maybe they could play a little series against the Ducks, because that looks like their best competition right now. I'm not even sure they'd win that series. And you have a payroll of $325? I'm not looking at Mendoza on that one. I'm not looking at Pete on that one. I'm not looking at Lindor, who for some reason has largely escaped any criticism, and he has been garbage for a month. It ain't Cohen's fault. He cuts the checks. He's great. Right now, the biggest question with these Mets, were they built the right way? And right now, my answer is no. And more important to the future, do they have the right general manager to now retool and adjust and get this thing going where it's supposed to be? And I'm not going to say no to that. I'm not going to say yes. I don't know. I mean, the Mets look, they look broken right now. 888-808-1019. BT and Sound on the Fan. We'll get to these calls here inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Ugh. Let me get Mike down in Venice, Florida. Oh, that's not. Hang on. Help me out with this, buddy. This thing is not going here. We'll fix it during the break. Just thank you. Mike, what's going on, bud? How are you?
Oh, I love everything you said. And, New York fans are a different breed. I lived down here in Florida the last 20 years, but lifelong Mets fan, born and raised in Staten Island, good kid from the neighborhood.
Yep.
First of all, I could see a player like Tommy Pham rallying up the Pirates and saying, these guys have no heart. We're going to walk all over them. And that's the thing I think you just said. We don't really have a leader. I don't think we have guys who really put fear into players. And then, like you said, too, baseball, these guys, it seems like they have no situational awareness whatsoever.
Yeah.
My brother and I will be sitting on the couch, bases are loaded. We'll be like, somebody's going to pop up to the first baseman in foul territory, hit into a double play. That nothing done. So I think that the situational awareness, it almost seems like, they're more concerned on the color of cleats that they're wearing that night. And like I said, New York fans are different, and we want guys who really, that they have their heart into it. It just doesn't look like these guys care.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate the call there, Mike. Thank you very much. The one thing with baseball is that it's going to look that way when you're not playing well. And I don't think that that's entirely fair to the Mets. I mean, to say that they don't care, there's no way I'm going there. Now, if this keeps up, and I could certainly question their leadership, which I already have. I don't think they have good leadership. And they do seem a little bit too accepting of the situation. Now, they had the players meeting the other night, and then they get absolutely tattooed and rolled and embarrassed again yesterday. So, I don't know, but I do know they're not good enough to just show up, throw their gloves on the field and win. Like, they're not that good. That is for sure. They're not the Dodgers. And that's okay. I don't think it was going to become the Dodgers overnight. But this thing was supposed to look a whole hell of a lot different than it looks right now. I mean, you get out to 30-4. 30-4. Like, that's Rich Kotite Jet stuff. Let me get Charlie and Bethpage. Charlie is on the fan. What's going on, Charlie? Charlie, how you doing, buddy? All right. Andrew's in Morris Plains. Andrew, what's cooking there, bud?
Hey, BT. Thank you for taking my call. It's another season for the Mets, a total disaster. I mean, this should have been an easy weekend for the Mets. They should have swept them, but of course they didn't. I mean, my frustration is on all levels, as every Met fan's feeling, the pitching, the hitting. But I have to say, I am more frustrated with the young guys. Beatty, Vientos, Mauricio. I mean, these guys are supposed to be built up, that they're supposed to be great and everything, and they're not delivering. And I'm really just frustrated that we don't have an everyday third baseman. It's like the Wheel of Fortune. Who's doing this? Who's doing that? But this is just not good. I want to be hopeful that they're going to turn this thing around, but the build-up that they were supposed to have, the dynasty of this offensive lineup, is going nowhere.
Yeah, and listen, the hopefulness, and thanks for the call there, that you still hold on to, that's part of being a fan. You never abandon ship, and Met fans are great, and Met fans are pissed, and Met fans are knowledgeable, and Met fans are going through it right now. And I don't blame you, because the payroll and the expectations are not being met. Like, what this team's supposed to be, they're nowhere near it, and they're getting worse quick. I mean, if I asked you right now, like, what is the best part of the Mets team? Do they have an elite offense? And don't tell me that they have an elite player. I know that. Do they have an elite offense? No. Do they have elite starting pitching? No. Is their bullpen elite? No. Are they an elite fielding team? Your first baseman can't even throw the ball to a pitcher covering. So the answer is no. Do you have an elite base running team? No. So there's nothing now that the Mets have that is elite. And the sum of the parts does not make up the difference. And the young kids, yeah, I get it. But again, you really don't hear me go to payroll too much, because listen, this is New York. Our teams spend money. That's it. Yankees spend, Mets now spend, Knicks spend. Jets, Giants spend, and Rangers spend. So I think that's just the expectation. So I don't need to always point out the payroll like you might have to do in other cities. But when you have a payroll like $325, I'm not looking necessarily at Vientos or Beatty or Mauricio, the young kids. They're making $900,000, roughly. It's not on them. Now, you'd like to see more. I mean, it's not. I big Vientos fan a year ago. Hopefully he gets hot here, but there's no way I'm going to sit here and say Vientos is going to crank it up. I don't know what Vientos is going to do. I don't know if Beatty's a true major league third baseman. Mauricio's got some intriguing skill set. All right, but who knows? Alvarez, I saw he could hit a couple of this stat. I won't get wrong, guys. Like I said, 0 for 4, 0 for 11 in the minors the other day, if you remember that. If not, whatever. But I know he had a couple of home runs over the weekend in Syracuse. Good. That's fantastic. Former number one prospect in all of baseball. You're supposed to do that in AAA. So I'm not going to put this on the kids. I don't think that that's fair. I think that misses the mark. I just don't see that. Let me get Rob in Tom's River, BT and Sound on the Fan. Robbie, what's happening, bud?
BT, brother, what's up?
All good.
So I seriously, as a lifelong Mets fan, and I've seen this before, I don't think it's going to get any better.
It might not.
You and I talked at the beginning of the year, and we graded the rotation together. We graded the offense, and we agreed on a C- on the rotation, a B- on the offense, and whatever. What this is everybody coming back down to average all at once. And playing at a C- average for the pitching and a B- average for the offense through the rest of the year is not good enough, and it's not going to be good enough. So playing, like an A+ team.
Yeah. He dropped there. Okay. I didn't cut you there. So I hear you. I heard what you said there. I get it. No, the elevation in play must be soon, and it must be appreciably better. Like that's it. And if I'm Steve Cohen, and I know we put out a tweet earlier, we'll read it coming up next here. We'll react to it, and we'll get to the phones. Obviously, keep doing this. 888-808-1019. Like I am talking to Stearns today, and I'm saying, go fix this. What are we watching here? What is this? Do you realize? Listen, you could go down a rabbit hole with numbers in baseball, and it is what it is. But I did see this doozy. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Since 1901, not 1990, not 1980, not 1970, 1901. One major league team has scored 30-plus runs, allowed 4 or fewer, all right, struck out 25-plus batters, and won all 3 games in a series. That's the Pirates this weekend. That's what they just did to the Mets. Wow. Starting pitching is obviously the biggest issue right now, but the problem for the Mets is that all of their issues are intersecting. And a players' meeting is not going to fix this. An emotional plea from the manager is not going to fix this. Sitting on your ass as the general manager, not doing anything, nickel and diming, hoping the factory revs back up, is not going to do anything. The way this season's going to be fixed is the Mets need to make massive moves. Now, the only thing that's different about that statement today from what I've been saying for 2 weeks is that it's now plural. Because what I was saying for 2 weeks is they got to make a massive move for a stick. They got to get a bat. Now what I'm saying is they've got to make massive moves. Otherwise, they are going nowhere, and you know it.